Welcome back. Now we need to continue working on here on getting the response from the database. So to get the response, now we have made a SQL query that would get the response. However, we need to execute this query. So to execute this query, we need to say statement and then execute. And then in order to make sure that the execution was successful, we need to add if statement. We need to surround this with if statement and then if and then else if and else. And also after we here, let me add a comment. Execute, I'm gonna say execute execute query, and then after we execute, what we want to do is that we want to get the result. So to get the result, we need to say statement, and then we need to say bind result. And this bind result takes a parameter, one parameter, which is the variable that you want to store the result in. So I'm going to store the result in a variable called response underscore message. So the response will be stored in a variable called response message. So this is the first thing that we need to do here after we execute. The second thing is that we need to call a function called store result. So after we bind the result, we need to store the result. So we need to say here statement and then store result. So here, don't get confused here. The first one here, bind result, we store the result in the response message. However, in order for this to work, we need to call store result. Next, after we have done this and this, we need to fetch the result in order to be able to use this or consume this and send the result to the user. And also we can check whether we have only one response or not. This can be done here by using if statement. This code is extra code, this if statement, but it's better to say this. It's better to say if and then statement and then num rows is equal to 1, because we want to get only one response. We cannot display so many responses. We should respond with one message. Even though here I said limit 1, it's better to say statement num rows is equal to 1, because if you forget to say limit 1, you have this another layer of protection. And then here, after we make sure that the response after we make sure that we have only one response, we need to say statement and then fetch, and finally we store the result in an array. I'm going to create an array called result, and this is going to be an array of key value pairs. So the key is going to be response, I'm going to say response, and the value is response message. Let's say response message because I don't want to confuse you. I'm going to say here response message. So response message is equal to response message. And that's it. Now we are done. The last step, which is probably the most important, if you don't do the last step, everything this file is not gonna produce results. It's not gonna display results. It's not gonna get results. So we need to say here JSON encode. We need to encode this result message. So I'm gonna say here JSON encode and then result. We encode this result and then we finally echo this message. We echo the encoded JSON. We echo this message. Else, in case of error, else we can say here echo and then JSON encode, and then we echo a message. We say here response message. Let's say the response message is equal to what? So this means that the user, the chatbot couldn't understand what the user said. Also else here in case of error, in case the execution was not successful, we need also to copy this and then paste it here in else, because here it means that the execution was wrong, and we need to tell the user what. It's a great way to display this message in case we couldn't find a response. Now we are done with this part. We are done with this file, and this file will display, in case of success, it's going to display the response message. It's going to return the response message. In case of error, it's going to display what. It's going to return what. So we are done with this part, with this file.